FM 100.3. Madonna, New Leaf Natural Therapies is with me in the studio, and we've gone through gut health.
Yeah.
Madonna, what else are we going to be talking about?
So I thought I'd mention, this type of things we do at New Leaf that can sort of help these issues because, we're talking everything from autoimmunity to autism and, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. These are the sort of big things that can be helped with gut health. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people know that their medications destroy their gut as well. So you know how people who take, say, drugs for their gut. Drugs for pain, for example. People know they need to take them with food, otherwise they cause ulcerations. So these are the type of things that, having the bone broth in a daily diet can really help. But once again, not everyone's a cook. Not everyone likes to, exactly like you say before, some people are going to like this, some people aren't. So when we see people naturopathically, Georgia and I are naturopath kinesiologists, we use a lot of kinesiology to work out what that person needs and also to try to target their diet so that it's better for them. So someone might actually have a diet where something really innocuous like garlic and onions or bananas or oranges are actually causing one of their problems on a day-to-day basis. And because when they've had blood tests and, lots of the, endoscopies and colonoscopies, and they find out that they're not, say, celiac, so they sort of think, well, it's not that. And people often spend years trying to find a solution before they see a naturopath. So things like kinesiology, we've got this blood test we do called a food detective. It checks 60 really common foods to see whether your body is actually having an issue with them, whether it's creating an immune dysfunction. So we've got lots of ways in the clinic of finding out what people sort of are having issues with. Yep. Georgia's got a lab test she sends away for that does either 80 or 120 or 300 different food intolerances. So there's lots of ways to deal with these and get people on track because some people really don't want to put up with their problems. Some people come in and they are so exhausted and so tired of not finding answers that they're sort of almost relieved when we go, well, let's do some tests and find out what's going on inside your body. Yeah. From that perspective, we've got a machine called an oligo scan, and that actually checks toxicity and mineral levels. And the thing I love about that is just say someone's been taking magnesium their whole life. So they get a magnesium blood test, not that happens very often, but just say they get a magnesium blood test from the doctor. It says, yep, your magnesium's fine. But when we do the oligo scan, if someone's got high mercury levels, mercury binds to magnesium, makes it unavailable. So therefore you can be taking magnesium on a daily basis, but if you've got heavy metal toxicity, that can be stopping that magnesium from being able to do any good in your body.
Okay.
Which is why when, if you're choosing to make something like a bone broth, I know bones are bones, but if you can find organic or grass-fed, that's always going to be better because otherwise you're putting more toxins in, which can create that damage to the gut. And by the time someone's got leaky gut, they're already compromised health-wise. So things like acupuncture can also help. So if you've got a good acupuncturist, they're the sort of person who, like kinesiology, there's different ways of them testing to see which pathways are blocked. So you might have a pathway jammed in your stomach meridian or your small intestine meridian or your large intestine meridian that's stopping absorption and flow in your body. Have you ever had acupuncture?
I have. I've had it for severe shoulder pain.
Yeah, right.
And lower back pain. It worked an absolute treat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you look at the size needles he used? I'm terrified to look when Rob does it to me. Oh my goodness!
The size of the needles didn't worry me, but then he hooked me up to a car battery and turned them on. That was intriguing the first couple of times, but it was. Look, I was a bit suspicious because I've never had it before. Yeah. And then I went in to have it, and it was amazing. It made a difference almost overnight. Yeah,
really quite bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's so acupuncture can also help with things like organ function. So over a period of time, it can improve function to, say, the brain or the thyroid or the liver or the kidneys or the pancreas. And so can kinesiology. Kinesiology works with a lot of acupuncture points, acupuncture meridians, energy flows in the body. So that's why, so Rob does acupuncture, Georgia and I do kinesiology. There's another process that Shelby and Rob do called Chini Seng, which is an abdominal massage. So it's an hour on the abdomen. So it gets better blood supply, nerve supply, lymph supply to all those core organs of the body. So once again, when we've got, bloating, burping, belching, flatulence, diarrhea, good old Saturday morning, when we've got that going on, that helps to get everything working better. And funnily enough, I was chatting to a client about this yesterday. When you've got gut dysfunction, it can absolutely lead to anxiety from a perspective of creating scar tissue underneath the rib cage, then you can't breathe deeply, and therefore you can't get into that nice, healthy, nice deep breathing. So people go into anxiety more easily. So, even the Chini Sen can help with things like anxiety and panic attacks and that type of thing, because when you can't breathe, you start to panic.
And let's face it, who doesn't love a good tummy rub?
Exactly. Well, it's really interesting because, we've been using it for about, it's probably 5 years in the clinic now. We've had, say, 5 different practices who do it. And Shelby and Rob, they work very, very differently. But, it increases fertility. It helps to reduce the size of people's prostate if there's an enlargement. It helps to reduce scar tissue in there. So if people have had, say, abdominal operations like hernias or cesareans or hysterectomies and that sort of thing in the scar tissue. Sometimes the scar tissue actually causes tugging, so people can feel uncomfortable on a daily basis. This is the sort of thing that over a period of time really just helps to loosen that scar tissue so that everything starts to move more easily again. So there's so much that can be done with the gut and with the brain, and actually with autism, there's some really commonalities that go hand in hand with autism, and and that's where if you can start getting those out of the diet, because let's face it, there's a lot of people these days being diagnosed, and it's something where the parents are so often just really beside themselves to see what they can do to help their kids, and because they know their lives are going to be challenged if we can't get these kids up and running and working and out into society. If they're really challenged socially, then there's a whole generation of parents that are going to be struggling coming up.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else you wanted to?
No, I think that's great, so yeah.
Thank you very much. Where can people go and see?
Yeah, so we're in Wynnum, so it's 94 Edith Street, Wynnum, and it's Lynn on the phone, or maybe it's turning around to Sanua around now, but our phone number's 3348 6098. Yeah. And I will just mention we've got a little YouTube channel called New Leaf Health Team, so quite often I put on little bits and pieces of this show, and I've got some little kinesiology videos on there, so it's just called New Leaf Health Team. People can go find me on there.
Awesome, Madonna. Thanks very much for joining us.
Excellent.
We'll catch you next week.
See you next week.
Listening at the same time.